Hi, everyone. Let's get rid of this music. This is what happens like when you use a studio that's not your studio, your normal studio. Thank you very much, football fans, for your cooperation here. Management appreciates your cooperation. We're on. We're ready. Thank you very much for joining us today here on the Happy Easter, Happy Christmas, Happy 4th of July, Happy Birthday Bean Pie. It's Super Bowl Sunday. So this is the day we've all been waiting for, the final game of the NFL season here. We got familiar teams here at the end. The Chefs, led by Pat Mahomes, they're trying to make NFL history today with their third consecutive Super Bowl victory. And the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, a lot of us seeing him today for the first time in the Super Bowl, going against trying to actually become a Super Bowl winner for the first time. Andy Reid going against the former team, the team that let him go all those years ago. Andy Reid has a tough season in Philly and actually becomes the Chiefs head coach, and the rest is history. First couple years with Alex Smith, now in more recent years with Pat Mahomes actually getting the Super Bowl victories. So what's going on here today? Let's go ahead and check it out as well. We're going to go over this as well. First, Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com. Definitely check it out if you are in the Winchester, Virginia area as well. So definitely check that out. Here, we'll stamp your documents, all of your documents with care. We'll be more than happy to go ahead and do that for you. Also to Harris Legal Shield. So Harris Legal Shield is the website as well. So definitely to Harris Legal Shield is a great source for us as well. If you are looking to save some money legally, legal fees are tremendous. They're very expensive. So go ahead. Harris Legal Shield, it's my daughter. Harris Legal Shield is a great resource for you to go ahead and get squared away. And certainly get Ravens jerseys at our website, raverysports.company.site. So definitely check that out. And today, we're live on Driving to the Top Productions. So we're live on all of our platforms and our partnership platform, Drive to the Top Productions. All right, let's talk a little bit about it today. Those are the records, 17-2. The Chefs have only lost one game really all season when they went into Buffalo early in the season and lost to Josh Holmes and the Bills. They lost the final game of the season. You really can't look at that when they were resting players. Eagles only lost 3 games all season as well. They were the number 2 seed in the NFC. So what does the matchup look like? So one of my favorite sports growing up was boxing. Me and my dad used to watch boxing, and before every fight, the tail of the tape. So let's do the tail of the tape. What do these teams look like side by side going ahead with that? Pat Mahomes, going for his 3rd straight Super Bowl. He's been in 7 consecutive NFC Championship games. Jalen Hurts, this is his first rodeo either. Lost the last time he played in the Super Bowl. He's back again. I think Hurts is maybe one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. Certainly, I consider Hurts a top 10 guy. I think he's never going to be the best quarterback in the league considered in a lot of cases, but I certainly think he's top 10. If you have to edge it here, definitely I would give the edge to obviously Pat Mahomes, who's won multiple MVPs, multiple Super Bowls as well. This is the huge advantage. Isaiah Pacheco in the run game, you're going to see a lot of Kareem Hunt for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the guy who is certainly worthy of the MVP didn't get it. but we'll talk about that. Certainly worthy of the MVP, Saquon Barkley. Barkley, I think, was sensational this year. This is the difference. If you are those people that are picking Philadelphia today, this is the reason why, because you have Saquon Barkley on your team where you didn't have it a few years ago when you played. Best running back in the league, and that's saying something considering the year that he had. Philly is going to run the football for sure today. That's very bright to go ahead and get the ball in the hands. I think is their best player. I think this is his offense. Even everything we talked about with Hurts, big adage as far as the run game. I do think though the Chefs defense is going to be more problematic than maybe people think. It might take them a quarter and a half to really get going as well. Wide receiver, all Eagles in this one. The Chefs wide receivers are, I think, pretty good. I think they developed. You got DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy coming along. Certainly in this one. Next year, they're going to get Rashid Rice back. Not going to have him today, obviously. I think that receivers are okay, but you got elite receivers on the other side. A.J. Brown, for the Eagles, I think he's kind of trying to work things out with Hurts, Devontae Smith, excellent receiver group. I think maybe the best pair of receivers in the league. So definitely the Eagles there as well. Tight end matchup. Dallas Goedert definitely had a good year. I think like some people have kind of underrated that Dallas Goedert has been really good for Philly this year. One of the top 10, I think, tight ends in the league. And I think you got Travis Kelce, probably maybe the greatest tight end in NFL history. You could argue that as well, maybe him or Tony Gonzalez. Not quite the player he was. Looks a little slower, less productive in the regular season, but right on course in the playoffs, he's been fantastic. I mean, definitely the security blanket. I'm still going to say Kelce edge for the KC here with Kelce as well. Offensive line. This is very interesting here. So I am thinking that Tooney is going to play at tackle in this one. One of the things I think with the Chefs, I mean, the strength that they had was their offensive line, guard to guard, was very, very good. Tooney, Trey Smith, and Creed Humphrey. So this could be the last game for that group. But they have moved Tooney because they've struggled so much at a tackle because they've really tried DJ Humphries, Wanya Morris, Kingsley Samuga earlier in the year. They've had Joe Tooney now at tackle, Mike Caliano. So this is a name to get familiar with playing at guard. Interesting to see what happens there. The Eagles, I think, even though they lost Travis Kelce to retirement, this might be the best offensive line in the league. The two tackles, Malina and Johnson. Like Johnson said, he's not going to retire after the game. So I definitely like the Eagles as far as that. Advantage, Eagles. Defensive line. Now, this may seem obvious because you have Chris Jones on the one side. Jones, I think, is probably the best. The best offensive player on either side. I think they're very dominant. You better double team Chris Jones, no matter who you put up against him, as well. George Karfknife has been really good as well. Mike Dane. So I think the line is a little better. I think they stopped the run really well. So this will be I'm really looking forward to that matchup as well. The Eagles, I think Jalen Carter, I think, is a fantastic player. I think the only reason he dropped in the draft was the off-field stuff, the issues, the problems that he had. Jalen Carter, I thought, was terrific. I'm still going to say that the Chefs have a better line than the Eagles, but the Eagles is really good. Just a little bit more Chris Jones over Carter is probably the main reason. And we are going to have probably today, mentioning Brandon Graham playing his last game in the NFL. He's probably going to call it a career after this game. He's missed a lot of games this year. He is going to be active and on the field in this one as well. So keep that in mind. He's been around the Eagles so long. I believe it was Andy Reid that drafted him and not the current coach as well. The linebacker groups are very good. on both sides. The chefs, Nick Bolton. I really have always liked Nick Bolton in terms of what he brings to a very underrated guy. I like his he. The only thing I don't like about Bolton as well is I like to see a little bit more at the line of scrimmage. He seems to get a lot of stuff downfield when he's tackling, but not as close to the line of scrimmage. I like to see a little bit more close to the line of scrimmage. But Drew Tranquil, Leo Chenard, I think are also there as well. Zach Braun, I think. I mean, here's a guy with special teams. He has probably become the best defensive tackle, the best defensive lineman one of the best linebackers in the league. He's going to cash in huge in free agency. The linebacker edge goes to Philly. I think their linebacker group is really, really good. Next DBs. It's definitely Kansas City here as far as who has a better group of DBs. Justin Reed, I think, is very, very underrated. When nobody talks about how good Justin Reed is playing, I see him all season, all over the field as strong safety. So very impressive. They did lose Snead in the offseason as well. So Jalen Watson has actually, I think, been pretty good for him. Trent McDuffie is terrific on the one side. So absolutely, I think he's been one of the better defensive backs, defensive backs in the NFC. So there's no question about that as well. Now, look, everybody's going to tell me how good the Philly D-backs are, which is true. Definitely has been an improvement over last year. Darius Slay, another guy, probably playing his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle as well. So the two young corners are very, very good. So the two young corners are the two young defensive backs are very, very good. Quentin Michael and Deshaun and Cooper DeJean are awesome, but they're still rookies. This is the biggest stage of all time here in the Super Bowl. So it's going to be hard for them. It's hard to go with them as far as being better in this situation because the experience of the Chiefs, and I think they do have, the best corner. It's hard. It's getting harder and harder for me to say that Trent McDuffie isn't the best corner in the entire league. Special teams. Jake Elliott's been not as good this year for them. He's been good throughout the years. I think Harrison Butker has been one of the most consistently good kickers ever in the league that they've had as well. Both teams are solid on special teams, though. I do like Gainwell, the kick returner for the Eagles. I think, but special teams, I do like them as well. But I'm going to give it to the Chefs, having been here so many times before. Definitely, I like the edge. Giving the edge to the Chefs. Last tail of the tape. I think this might be the biggest advantage on the field, and it's not even on the field; it's on the sideline. The head coach, Andy Reid. I think it's only if he's the greatest coach of all time at this point. Certainly the greatest coach in recent years. Certainly, I forever said that Bill Walsh was the greatest offensive mind in the history of the NFL. I don't know if that's the case anymore because what Andy Reid has been able to do with the Chefs has been phenomenal. I understand he's got Pat Mahomes. His offensive schemes are immaculate. He always has a tremendous game plan. They look on easy mode a lot of times, like they're not even doing everything they could do on offense, and they're still dominant. Sirianni, I don't hate him as much as some people do. A lot of people have blamed Sirianni for everything that goes wrong in Philly. He's won a lot. Keep in mind, second Super Bowl in 3 years for somebody who can't coach. So I don't think, but he's clearly not the Andy Reid kid. Clearly not the Andy Reid kid. I think Andy Reid is in a class by himself. So definitely, I give the edge to the Chefs. There you go. The tail of the tape. So, tail of the tape. Who do I like in the game? It's logic should tell me, right, that the Eagles should win this football game, right? You got your quarterback is solid, been here before, not quite as good as the other quarterback. You have the best running back in the league. You have great tight ends, your offensive line. You have a tremendous roster. I think this is the best roster clearly in the NFC, but it's going to be hard for me to go against the Chiefs. I keep thinking about the 93 Bulls, so convinced that the Knicks were going to beat them. So convinced, kind of the same deal. Roster was better. Everything was better. Finals, Barkley had the best record in the league. Maybe they're a little bit vulnerable. Then we got the same result. I do think that I do, for that reason, got to go with the Chefs today. I usually don't look at everything analytically, but it's kind of hard to not go against Kansas City. It's hard to go against Kansas City when you've had this level of success, winning in the AFC Championship, winning over Lamar, winning over Josh Allen and everything in the AFC Championship game. So I'm going with the Chefs today. We will see what happens there as well. So a couple things. Real quick channel reminders. A couple set of interviews I did on sports media are going to be on the channel. I'm going to load those up. Not yet on the Driving to the Top channel, but certainly it's on our channel right now, raverysports.company.site, which is the website for the business. But the Ravery Sports Podcast YouTube channel, we're going to load those on the Driving to the Top. They're going to have those, but I premiered those on the Ravery Sports channel. So definitely that is there right now. Good enough to talk to Ryan for the Flack Rundown. Good enough to talk to Hendo from the Road Pod, and definitely Keith Henry from the Afro Americans. A couple sports writers, a couple people in the media space to give a couple of their thoughts. Some very, very, very interesting conversations that all of us have had. And tonight, after the game, we're going to do instant reaction to this game as well. So definitely we'll be there doing the instant reaction to the game tonight. So definitely that'll be after the game. Probably around 10:30. I'm thinking like that'll be on, like the game will be on. So as well. I see Dylan tonight is going on Driving to the Top. I'll wait for him to be done if he wants. I won't go on the same time as him. So he can go ahead and get down with everything there. All right, couple things we want to go over. So the offseason officially starts here after this game. So a couple things as we going into the offseason as well. Big news today out of New York. I did have it in the segment, but I took it out because it's obvious. Aaron Rodgers is not coming back to New York. The Jets have said they're going to be moving on from the great Aaron Rodgers. Has he played his last game in the NFL? I don't know. Is another team going to be interested in him? So there's certainly a lot of teams looking for a quarterback. So interesting to see what happens in New York for sure. I almost guarantee Davante Adams is going to go with him out the door. So they're definitely not going to have Davante there as well, probably without Aaron. I can't imagine he'd want to stay there. So we got some news there. Off-season questions. I asked for a couple of questions. I did get a few. So how about this one? What will the Squealers or the Pittsburgh Steelers be nice today? Right. What will the Squealers do at quarterback? It's Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they should be in the Sam Darnold business. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and do that or not. To me, that should be a thing that they should be looking at. I'm thinking it's going to be Justin Fields. That's my best guess with them, that they're going to go ahead Justin Fields. They've already said they're not going to bring Russell Wilson back next season. I think that's a rather interesting decision considering the fact they have Fields there and sat him on the bench to play Russell. And so you're keeping Fields, it looks like, and going to start Fields when Fields has been there. So, I don't know how much confidence they have in Fields, but I think it's worth a shot. Russell is not the same guy. He's a veteran guy. You got eliminated again in the first round, so I think it's worth a shot. I think a lot of teams should be looking at Darnold, but I think Justin Fields is the route, it looks like to me at least, in Pittsburgh as well. Will Sam Darnold, that was asked in the chat by Jason, will Sam Darnold get a max contract offer? This is a little layered, in my opinion. The team that should be signing Sam Darnold is Minnesota because I don't think McCarthy's the guy. I don't think J.J. McCarthy. I watched a lot of Maryland games. watched a lot of Big Ten in Michigan. I saw him. I did not think this guy was a first round pick. They picked him in the first round. Okay, they brought a vet in. The vet plays well. He's injured, so he doesn't play at all. And so if you turn it over to McCarthy, what do you have? You still don't know. You're still really guessing a guy who I didn't really think was worthy of a first round. But the problem is the nature of the question. Will he get a max contract? Are you ready to give Sam Darnold $55-60 million? That's a tough one because he really didn't play well at the last two games. I don't think they are. I think they're going to go ahead and give him I don't think a team is going to give him $55 million. I think a team is going to offer him $35-40 million. He's going to get a lot of money now. There may be a team. I kind of think that this is something that the Raiders would do. Like, this is kind of their history. Jim Plunkett, a guy who kind of failed, but he kind of resurrected himself. A guy like Rich Gannon, who kind of resurrected himself. This is kind of their thing. So I think this is something the Raiders would do. I think they're not going to be able to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to be a little bit too low for that, although I keep seeing Shador. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think somebody will give – I don't think he's going to be a max offer, and I do think it's going to be a different team. I think it's a little foolish of Minnesota to start J.J. McCarthy as well. Which will the Browns trade Myles Garrett into which team? Browns. Oh God. Teams have called. They've said no. So they said he's not available. I honestly don't know what you're accomplishing by doing this. I honestly don't. The Browns, I just can't figure it. The Browns, like when you had they drafted, they took Deshaun Watson, it didn't work out. So you have a quarterback there, you're picking second, and I keep seeing that you don't want the quarterback there. You don't want and then Garrett wants a trade. You don't want to. What do you do? I think they are going to trade him. I'm going to give them some credit and say maybe they're just picking the price that they want. I think New England is going to be in play for Myles Garrett. New England is going to be in play for a lot of teams because of the cap space they have. I don't know if there's any particular team you want to go to, but I think that's going to be in play for them. I think they're going to be there. I think the Commanders are. I think the Commanders have some space. They definitely need help on defense. They're definitely closer to winning. I think it's definitely more attractive for him. So I think if there are teams, if they are going to trade him, and I think they will trade him, but they're just all this. He's not. I just don't. What are you doing? I don't get it. Where does T. Higgins sign? I don't think it's for sure. I think there is some chance he stays in Cincinnati. I do think it is possible that they're going to load up on receivers and spend all their money in wideouts in Cincinnati. I don't think that's impossible. Certainly, they told Joe Burrow that. It looks like in an article I read that they are wanting to go ahead and sign Chase and Higgins. This is going to be very, very expensive as well. Does he want money? Again, I'm mentioning New England again. I think that's definitely a team that's going to be in play. They got $100+ million under the cap. So I definitely think that's somewhere. I think the Steelers will inquire. I think the Packers will inquire. I think there's a lot of teams that will inquire as well. I think he's going to sign. If I had to predict right now, I would say Pittsburgh is definitely in on that. They're familiar with him. They have some space. They do need a wide receiver. I do think that's an avenue that could happen as well. But I'm still a little early in the game to find out exactly where the tea leaves are. And one other question that was made, Dylan, was like, between Lamar and Allen, which does either guy reach a Super Bowl? Yes. I think it'll be very hard, and we don't know if the Chefs are going to be successful today, that a team goes 4 Super Bowls in a row. This is just me talking like, yeah, they're going to win today, but I have no idea. But 4 Super Bowls in a row, even if they lose 4 consecutive, that's a lot. So in the AFC, it's going to be Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo for years to come now. For the next couple of years, it's not going to be. There's nothing, and there's nothing an other team in the AFC is going to be able to do with these guys playing the way they are in their prime. It's going to be these guys. So I do think they can reach a Super Bowl and win it. I certainly think they have the talent to, but you got to beat Mahomes. And I think they're capable of doing that, as we all know. But I think there will be some fall off after today for the Chiefs. I think it's going to be very hard for them to duplicate going forward what they've already done. It's going to be very hard for them. All right. So thank you very much. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm going to be watching, like with all of you are. We're going to be on after the podcast tonight. We're going to be on after the game tonight. So enjoy the Super Bowl. Wish the Ravens were in it, I'm sure, but definitely check it out. Definitely check us out on our instant reaction after the game. And we're going to have our regular podcast this week. We're going to be going over the top 10 left fielders in all of baseball and the state of the franchise. For the Orioles, one of my favorite segments for the Orioles, Ravens free agency targets. So we're going to be going over all that. Thank you very much for joining us, you guys. Enjoy the game.